continuing our shopapalooza of my moral decay. In the first part, I told you about the ways that I managed to slowly start cheating my own rules of perfume no buy. This is where things really went down. This is basically from shameful to shameless in a very rapid progression. Now to the third hack, how I hacked my own rules, is I could not find hand sanitizer or any kind of rubbing alcohol or any disinfectant for 2 months. Not offline, not online, nowhere. I found a few in some really exotic luxury skincare brands where they were selling like perfumed or organic or like whatever, you know, some exorbitant luxury marketing blah 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 sanitizer, the one that would cost me like $20 per like 100 ml of a liquid or a gel. And at that point I started to get angry actually, because like this is ridiculous. We do have a need to constantly sanitize the surfaces in our hands and to have them everywhere. So with all that shortage of disinfecting products, my inner little cheater, my cheating mind, immediately remembered that eau de colognes have 3% of aromatic ingredients and 19 to 95% of alcohol. So why would I pay for a luxury hand sanitizer if I can buy another eau de toilette and use it as a hand sanitizer or disinfectant and make my car, my purse, my hands, and the surfaces in my house smell really good while trying a new scent? Yeah, I'm very inventive. Charlie White doesn't really have any kind of bouquet or pyramid, but you know what it does have? It does have this delightful Abraxane or Iso Super kind of like soft synthetic evenness. It smells like IKEA store in some hypothetical way. If you like Not a Perfume by Juliet Has a Gun, if you like molecules, you know, molecule 1, 2, 3, you'll like this. And again, this is why I don't really root for Not a Perfume like niche fragrances, because it's kind of like cheating the consumers. Putting a lot of Abraxane in alcohol should cost the whole, like, I don't know, canister of a perfume should cost $2. Yet, just for the sake of scientific marketing, they make them cost $70, $100. Like Juliet Has a Gun, Not a Perfume, or the molecules, their fair price is probably $2 for the full bottle, just because there's nothing there, rather than like a few molecules that are very, very cheap to make. So if you started on that trend and you rather like kind of perfume without a perfume feel, Charlie White. It's just delightfully nothing. It's just soft, non-offensive, kind of like amber without amber. I think it's Abraxane, to be honest. I don't know what's in there, but this is just perfect for sanitizing surfaces and hands, because it gives you this whiff of soft cashmere-like freshness, because it's not ozonic, it's not oceanic, it's not citrusy, right? It's more like Abraxane, it's like Donna Karan cashmere, clean cashmere, all of those cashmere, Abraxanic kind of soft scents. But it's simple, even, noticeable, and actually long-lasting, oddly enough, but very, very quiet. So this is Not a Perfume, but better. And the brand, which kind of like I started obsessing about it a little bit, not gonna lie, is Jil Sander. You probably have noticed that I've been mentioning Jil Sander in almost every video because I love myself a kind of like undersung hero, like a good quality designer brand that not many people know about. And it seems like I've fallen hard for Jil Sander. So I've been using the shampoo, which is Jil Sander Sun. Really like this scent. It's on my wish list right now, but it was a little bit more expensive than its flankers, so I bought myself 2 flankers again as hand sanitizers, right? 2 flankers. Each of them was, I think, $16 or so. So the first one, both are testers. The largest ones I could find, which was 100 ml. The first one is Jil Sander Sun Delight. If you look online, you can find, I think, 4 or 5 flankers total. Okay, Sun Delight. I'm just gonna comparatively review them both at once. And the second one that I got, these 2 just were cheapest. I didn't really have any preference in which one to get. I just wanted Jil Sander and I wanted it to be cheap. And this is Jil Sander Sun Bath. It's a blue bottle. So Sun Delight and Sun Bath. You know, the original Sun, at least as much as I can tell from the shampoo that I've been using, is a little bit richer, sweeter, and I feel more substantial as a perfume. I must say I kind of like the original Sun the most, and these 2 didn't really move me much. So despite my expectations, I do prefer Near Dusk by Jennifer Aniston way more than these 2, because the Sun line is also another clone, or at least attempt to clone all of those coconutty, fruity SPF cream kind of scents, like Bronze Goddess by Estee Lauder. So all of these are variations on that theme, and to be honest, it's very hard to tell them apart, and they almost don't have a smell at all. I kid you not, I spent 3 days before I decided to record this video trying them on just so I could talk about them in some semi-intelligent manner, and I can't. I just don't feel much coming from them. It's just very, very faint smell of coconut with kind of like creamy something else. So indeed, excellent hand sanitizers and disinfectants. When it comes to actually being like a perfume, they don't even have longevity or any noticeable profile to be called eau de toilette. These are just faint nothing. Again, if you like not a perfume by Juliette Hezekan, if you like molecules, these 3 are all falling to the same category. Soft, even, though these are not really lasting at all. This is probably a better version because at least Charlie White lasts a few hours. These ones, either I'm anosmic or I just can't tell. It literally smells like faint coconutty nothingness. So I'm glad that I tried them. Not gonna repurchase them unless I actually continue to use them to disinfect and sort of aromatize surfaces like tables, I don't know, kitchen and things like that. If you have any recommendations, something that is like dirt cheap and has some of that kind of refreshing smell, let me know. Let me know in the comments below, because as soon as I used up these for like in-house purposes, I probably will be looking for some replacements and I'll just move on from these. It was like a nice try, but this is not something I would wear. At least like I have much more interesting and better fragrances, even in the affordable realm, just like I told you. Like these 2 are actually something that's interesting and delightful to wear. But the other ones, Jil Sander flankers and the Charlie White, I don't really see myself giving them the time of the day when I have such luxurious choices. And the last part is when I have like no excuse. There was absolutely no reason or any plausible excuse for me to buy these perfumes. I just bought them. So these, the last ones, are in clearest possible violation of my no buy year. The first one, and the one that I already shared with you in the community post on YouTube, is the tester of new Lolita Lempicka scent. I historically just could not become good friends with Lolita Lempicka scents. Very few of them please me. Most of them seem to be just not my kind, not my type of gourmand. But their new Green Lover, which is the Lolita Lempicka take on Fougère, which I'm on a kick with all kinds of shippers green herbal scents, was completely sold out in Russia for a number of months. So the hype was so high among the perfume reviewers that I speak with or watch, that I just had to try it. I didn't have to, but I did. And I bought it as soon as it appeared because it's impossible to find in the States. So I think I got it for like $35 maybe, which is reasonable. I expected, Fougère is like green, kind of solid, woody, possibly with vetiver kind of scent. When I sprayed it, I was like, what? This is not a Fougère. There's nothing green about it. And it took me a very long time to make sense of this perfume. So from the first whiff, it's just super sweet. Typical Lolita Lempicka kind of sweetness. And I just couldn't make sense. I was like, why do they call it Green Lover? There's nothing green about it. But the more I wore it, and I think I already wore probably like 3 ml already, just like spraying, it's like, okay, I have to understand this, I have to make sense of it. So here's what I understood so far about this scent. The Green Lover, if you like the classic Lolita Lempicka, you remove the black licorice, but you keep her signature kind of like gourmand flair, her DNA, and you add kind of on the background, you add a little bit of kind of like soda with gin, but like they are not dominating like they are often in male perfumes. They are completely secondary, if not ternary, to the Lolita Lempicka gourmand. And this is probably what made it so popular. It's not so common to see green and gin-like notes with a little bit of this kind of like sparkliness, right, of mineral water that is on the background of gourmand, that only kind of decorates it on the periphery rather than opens with it. Like the perfumes usually open with citrusy or refreshing of those sparkly mineral watery kind of notes, and then you feel the sweetness or whatever else is in the pyramid. This is the opposite. This is sweet, typical Lolita Lempicka kind of gourmand sweetness with subtle decorations here and there of something that remotely reminds me of a mojito, but it's an echo, you know what I mean? Like it's really not the center, the centerfold of this perfume. So this is how I kind of like made peace with it. I think it is unique in this sense. If you're a gourmand lover and you absolutely can't stand classical fougères and shippers, but yet you do want to have a certain variety in your sweet, sweet on sweet on sweet on sweet kind of legion of perfumes that you wear all the time, this could be your type of Green Lover fragrance. But if you love classical shippers, if you really do well with Italian style colognes, you will not understand what this is, because it's really too sweet to be a Col des Fougères. Anyway, that was an interesting experiment. Conditionally, I would recommend it to gourmand lovers who want to venture to slightly different flavors of gourmand. But yeah, I will continue to wear it. To be honest, my mind is not set on what I think about it. Okay, the next one was another emotional purchase, and this is Perfume. I think it's literally called Pure Perfume. Yeah, Perfume 14 milliliters, Clima by Lancome. Clima Lancome created was part of like a generational love for shippers in women, in working women. So many cult movies and actresses and kind of like celebrities on which I grew up were wearing Clima. So I was just curious to see what is it, because I couldn't remember what it was. Here we are. I must say I'm kind of disappointed in the packaging. They kept the form factor the same, but the latest plastic, including the part, it used to be like a matte glass that you kind of like would push in. Right now this is all plastic. The glass is also not well made. So overall I'm severely disappointed. I think that companies should show respect to their own legacy, and if they're not discontinuing in cult classics such as Clima, they should probably, keep it up. Either discontinue it or at least show respect to things that kept you afloat for decades, and still so many women now still use it. So this is what I call kind of like citrusy shipper / fougere. That now we're talking. I'll be honest with you, 5 to 7 years ago, I would not have understood that at all. Because it is both oriental and spicy, but it's also very kind of like eau de cologne, like it's also green and the classic kind of like cypressy, woody, bergamoty, kind of like all of these herbal notes in here are not conducive of modern femininity, as you wish, at least as it's marketed to us. Right now, people understand women perfumes through how much liquid sugar is added on top of some gardenia, tuberose, or rose note. So this is right now, this just smells very niche, just because the fashion in perfumes changed so much. So as much as I have a lot of gripe against how just cheap and horrible the packaging of the perfume is, and I constantly am afraid of dropping it and completely spilling it over, because this plastic lid does not really want to fit back, and it's very wonky. It's very wonky. But the perfume itself, man, like comparatively to perfumes that are now in Sephora that smell all the same, they all smell like some combination of Poison Girl to Miss Dior to, I don't know, Coco Mademoiselle to La Vie Belle to something like that, or like Armani C, This just smells unusual, really unusual. So you don't have to spend over $100 on some like unpronounceable Italian, Spanish, or French niche brand if you want to stand out, if you want to actually be niche. Get yourself some Clima for like 1/10 of a price, and that will really take you places. It smells unusual and almost revolutionary now because the wheel turned so far the other way. So I'm super impressed. The only thing, I will have to put it into a spray bottle because this just does not want to stay on. It's so wonky. I'm just afraid of spilling it all over, and such bad quality of packaging for such a cult perfume that it's just upsetting to me, to be honest. The last one though, which I think the classic that to this day is done well, very well, does not smell diluted, packaged beautifully, and smells incredibly niche and sophisticated is Guerlain Bleue. So this is, I think it's actually can be translated as near dusk or dusk, because like the blue hour is the hour when the sun is set, but it's not fully night yet. So I got myself actually a refill, a spray refill. But check this out. This looks almost like a Madonna perfume. Like even refill actually looks kind of cool. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of like the form factor of the refill. No less that I like the bottle, though. The Guerlain bottle for L'Heure de Bleue, the same bottle as they use for Mitsuko. Or Le Robe Noir Perfetto, the same shape. I really like the shape of that packaging, but this is kind of cool too. A lot of people kind of like describe L'Heure Bleue by Guerlain the same as they describe their iconic shipper Mitsuko. I must say, I had Mitsuko and I couldn't wait to sell it. I just could not wait to get rid of it. Because Mitsuko was kind of known for its kind of almost bittery herbal shipper that was contrasting very unexpectedly with sweet, rich kind of apricot peachy notes. So the kind of like the sweetness of the ripe fruits with the bitterness and melancholy of the herbal notes. But I haven't found any depth of the herbal story there, of the shipper itself. And the peaches or apricots were nowhere to be found. It was just a very flat, depressing urban scent to me. And I keep hearing that the vintage Mitsuko Eau de Parfum is almost like a different level. It's a different story. So when it comes to L'Heure Bleue, I'm sure probably like a vintage sample is even richer, even better, but to be honest, I'm struggling to imagine if it even needs to be either any richer or any bolder. I don't find them to be that similar. What Mitsuko and L'Heure Bleue have in common that these are not gourmands, pretty much. They have nothing in common with, again, C by Armani, La Vie Belle, Britney Spears, Victoria's Secret teas. Not that. Yes, that they have in common. They're not sweet, and the florals that are added in these formulations, they make me think less of flowers but more of dried herbs. If those are roses, that those are dried dead roses, you know what I mean? There is like, I don't really feel anything flamboyant, romantic in these florals. But I must say, L'Heure Bleue to me is powerful, rich, multidimensional, melancholic, just like Mitsuko promised to be. But this is just so luxurious. Maybe because it's heavier. I just feel that it has a little bit more depth and substance than Mitsuko. As much as I couldn't really like Mitsuko at all, I love L'Heure Bleue. So to me, if you are at some point we're considering to sample some Guerlain classics, right, just to get kind of like a feel of what started a whole generation of other perfumes and brands, because sometimes it can be very inspiring. Just like with Clima, you try a Clima now and you'll be surprised just how innovative it sounds now. The same with L'Heure Bleue. To me, if I had to compare it with some known niche houses, I would think of Histoire de Parfums. Because Histoire de Parfums, kind of like DNA of many of their perfumes, is similarly dry, a little bit herbal, maybe a little bit with hints, of gin or absinthe kind of DNA. And L'Heure Bleue absolutely just blows my mind, considering that this is at least a century older in terms of its formula. Obviously, this is all reformulated to death, but I feel like they really preserved the spirit of the Bleue, the original one, and I couldn't be happier that I got it, even though it was a complete cheat. It was just something I wanted. It was very affordable in the refill, and yeah, I got it in full violation with my rules. The last one, I'm not gonna talk much about it because I don't really have a ready impression, but I just wanna report to you what I got. This is Trésor from Lancome, another classic, but now we're transitioning toward gourmands. But this is like a previous generation of gourmands, the one that was more tonka bean and vanilla and ambery kind of sweetness rather than the liquid sugar that came with the new generation of molecules. So the Trésor I got as a decant from Perfume.com. So now FragranceNet, Perfume.com, along with Scentbird, all of them have their decant services. They use pretty much the same packaging, so 8 milliliters. The prices are different. I think FragranceNet is $10, Perfume.com is $10, and Scentbird is 14, I think. But Scentbird has a much better niche selection, just so you know. Some niche perfumes can be, you can add them to the queue on Perfume.com and FragranceNet.com, but they are really stingy considering the width of their selection that these retailers have. They are being very stingy with their selection. Maybe it's just me. Anyway, Trésor Lancome is the kind of like more nutmeg, tonka bean, kind of like more demure sweetness comparatively to what we're used to now. And again, in that sense, if it appeared in one of those niche brands, I bet a lot of people would just say like, oh, this is ingenious, and call it a day. But I'm not sure if it's my favorite. I feel like I like Poem more. There are like a number of royal, rich, really strong and powerful sweet perfumes that come from like a previous generation of gourmands, and two that are very well known as Poem and Trésor. I like Poem more. I feel like Poem is a little bit more unique and poetic. Sorry for like no pun intended, but that's just me. Trésor to me is, it's definitely for people who like strong powerhouse, kind of like really long lasting perfumes. I'll give it that. But so far I'm not in love with the bouquet of it. All right, okay. This is the damage when it comes to designer perfumes. I haven't shown you an army of very, very crazy, rare, exquisite and niche perfumes that I managed to score when I just fell off the wagon with my no by ear. So the next time we're gonna look at the kind of like treasure hunt that I did on the hyperluxe and niche spectrum. I hope you liked this kind of like affordable designer haul. If you guys have any recommendations, again, any perfumes under $20 in the large size that would be worth considering for kind of like summer use or almost like disinfectant kind of use all around the house, all around any kind of objects, let me know. All right, thank you so much for your time. I'll be waiting for your comments. Please subscribe if you haven't yet, and I'll see you in the new video. Bye.